What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I'm very, very excited to talk about 5 of the biggest mistakes Hogwarts Legacy cannot make. Now, we've talked about the things that they need to do in order to be successful. Now I want to go in the reverse way and talk about what the game cannot do. These are, in my opinion, actually factually, completely different from that video. So it's not like I just took them and reversed what I said to make it, the opposite. Okay, these are brand new things, and I'm very, very excited to talk about it. As always, the quick housekeeping, make sure you keep the suggestions coming, more videos. I do these videos every 2 to 3 days, so if you like that, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, all that good stuff. All my social media stuff is in the description below, my Twitter, my Discord, my second channel. If you guys like me and you really want to hear more of me, you can subscribe to my second channel, Podcast Now Plus, okay? It would be much appreciated, especially that one. But let's go into this. These are in no particular order, but I'm, again, very, very pumped to talk about this, and I definitely want to hear what you guys think in the comments below, both my list and your own list. Okay, I kind of did write these in the terms of how they came into my head, so I'll just read them straight from how I wrote them, and then we can kind of go into more detail. I don't have a script. I've never had a script, and this isn't a script. These are just very few words for my points. Number 1, and honestly, I think the biggest mistake this game can, if I had to actually rank them, this would be number 1, is not taking the lore seriously. So this is, to me, the biggest thing. This is the, I think, running theme with all of the videos that I've made so far. I think it's what has kind of brought you guys to me, is that, I know games, I can talk about games, I know the industry, all that stuff, but I'm also a diehard Harry Potter and, Wizarding World fan. Do I know everything about it? No, but I'm getting there. And, I think that's kind of what has brought us really, really close together, that we are all really big fans of the franchise, and we just want this game to do it in the best possible way. And that is that connecting link. And so, look, do I think that this is actually going to happen? No, I do think they are going to be very respectful. Everything we've heard thus far and everything that we've seen, remember there was even the pictures of, they have, the Wizarding lore, mythology book on their desks and stuff like that. I'm sure these guys know their stuff. I'm sure these guys know probably everything there is to know about the Wizarding world. So anything that's not in this game that maybe should have been was, I would say, a conscious decision to not put it in, okay? But this really is a big mistake if they do this, if they don't take the lore seriously. People are going to have their eyes on this game. And a thing to remember, too, and I don't want to spend too much time on any of these, right, so we can get through all 5, but a thing to remember is, yes, this is a video game, so you're going to have people that are going to buy this that just buy video games. But you look at how big the trailer was, and you look how big Harry Potter is, and how big just Harry Potter is in general, not just the movies, but the books and the lore and, everything, the theme park and the rides and the merchandise, all this stuff. You are probably going to have people that, and I've even seen it in my own channel, there's some people that literally, that game is, the only game they're looking forward to for the next, year plus. That's pretty big, and I guarantee you there's more people like that. It's not just, people that I see on my channel. I'm sure there's a lot of people that this may be their one game that they buy every 6 months or every year, or maybe people that love again, Harry Potter, the movies, maybe they have one of these consoles and they say, sure, I don't really play games, but I would love to jump into, a Harry Potter game, even though, obviously Hogwarts Legacy. You're going to have those people. And if you do the lore wrong, if you neglect things, if you mess up, I mean, heaven forbid, God save them if they mess up, right? Because then they're going to have an angry mob at their door. Probably wrongly so, because we shouldn't do that. But, there's going to be a lot of eyes on that. So this is, in my opinion, the biggest thing. When we talk about Animagus, or we talk about Patronus, or we talk about spells and Avada Kedavra and all this stuff, I mean, these are all things that have importance, and every single small thing has importance, and so they got to be very, very careful. The second thing is relationships/quests that don't go anywhere. This is a mistake that, again, they cannot make. I sometimes have trouble, by the way, with double negatives. I was actually going to school for quite a long time to be a math teacher, so I probably shouldn't get so confused by those kind of things, but when I talk as fast as I do, obviously you guys know I talk pretty fast, I sometimes get myself confused. But no, this, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. In games, especially games like this, or what this game is trying to be, right? Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Witcher, stuff like that. The relationships have meaning, and you tend to start to really care about the characters that you're meeting in the game. And it's different, not necessarily better. I mean, every game is obviously, different. Some games have characters I love more than other games with characters, right? But in these kind of games, you really, I think, get to a deeper level with a lot of characters than you may in other kind of games, right? Because you're focusing on them more. You're making, again, the conscious decision to talk to them. You're picking the dialogue. You have the chance to continue to engage with that person or to not. You know what I mean? There's a lot more depth. I think that's probably factually true, right? So, and same thing with quests, and I'll get to that in a second, but with relationships, again, if they don't go anywhere, if you're just kind of talking, but you don't really have a sense that you're building anything with them, and then same thing with the quests, I think I've talked about it before, I would love to have, when you do side things, I love it when that somehow, and it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, I think it's actually a really cool thing, when maybe it makes its way into the main quest, where like the main quest is aware that you have done something on the side. It doesn't happen a lot, but when it does, it's really cool. And so I want that. And I think maybe that one wouldn't be the biggest mistake in the world, but again, if the quests go nowhere, if they're just fetch quests, if they're lame side quests, that's obviously a problem. Relationship-wise, if you feel like you're not really getting anywhere with a character, or they're not really evolving with you or growing with you, those are big problems. For a RPG, make your own choice kind of game, very important to build out those relationships and have everything you do in the game, it means something. It doesn't have to mean, it doesn't mean everything has to mean like a ton, but everything needs to mean something. Number 3, this one is, I think, the thing that's probably the safest out of all of them, is another mistake they cannot make, is limited exploration. So, I mean, that would be a real gut punch, right? That you go into this game and then they start to say, oh, well, this place is locked off and that place is locked off, and oh, you can't go there and you can't go there. I mean, yes, people have a laundry list of things that they want, of places, I guess, they want to explore. Could Azkaban be in this? Yes. Could that cave even that like Dumbledore takes Harry in Harry Potter 6, like, could that be in it? Yeah, I think that's possible. Could you just go down the list? Could the Ministry of Magic? Could Hogsmeade? All of these places. I mean, they all definitely have a chance, but and again, I'm not saying like, oh, it's great or it's bad if they are or they aren't in this game, but you got to give us something to do. So I've always been on the side that we're in Hogwarts. I want to explore Hogwarts the most. I'd understand if these other places, so the other places I basically just listed, if Hogsmeade, if you can't go into every single place there, I wouldn't say it's the end of the world. As long as Hogwarts is fully, explorable. If you're going through Hogwarts and it's like, oh, well, there's like a hidden wall here where you can't, there's like a hidden barrier where you can't pass this, or you can't go down there, or you can't go in this room. Then it kind of becomes, okay, well, you're limiting us a lot. The whole point of this is to be able to explore Hogwarts, both places that we've seen before and haven't seen before. And if you start limiting that, and then also you can't do that much stuff in other places that you can go in this game, you're going to have a problem. Again, with that being said, out of all of these, I feel kind of the most confident in this one that you're going to probably make it as, if Ghost of Tsushima has taught me anything, right, a recent open world game, they went headfirst into the samurai feudal Japan world, and they nailed it. You feel like you're there. People feel like they're doing stuff. I mean, all that stuff. It feels like you're in that time setting. It feels like you're in that just location, and hopefully Hogwarts Legacy does the same thing. Number 4 is not taking being good or being bad all the way. And so we've talked about this one before. This is kind of a running theme. I want there to, and that you could, by the way, you could kind of make this a little bit bigger too. Houses being different, that's something that they should do. So if they don't do that, so basically if things start to be a little bit recycled, okay? If I'm in Hufflepuff, you're in Ravenclaw, but we feel like we honestly would feel like we're in the same house. Or you're playing the bad way, I'm playing the good way, but pretty much everything is going exactly the same. I don't feel like I'm any worser of a, I'm not any worse of a character than you are, okay? And you're actually playing good, okay? Stuff like that. That's what they cannot do. And again, for a game that is a choose your own path, live your own role, and again, you can take being good as far as it can go, you can take bad as far as you can go. That's up to the game to measure that. And so if the game doesn't measure it right, if the game says, well, you can be bad, but I mean, you're like, I don't know, you're cheating on tests, that's what we mean by being bad, you know what I mean? It's not all that bad. Again, I've said it before, and I get people said about like the age rating, which we can talk about what this game should be rated. I mean, I want to be able to do the unforgivable curses. If I'm going to be evil, if I'm like the next if I'm like the pre-Grindelwald Voldemort, I mean, I need to be evil. You know what I mean? I can't just, again, what am I gonna be? I don't know, like hitting somebody over the head with like a broom. Like that's me being evil. Like that's not good enough. You know what I mean? So that's something I think they have to keep in mind as well. And the final thing is having bad beginning and endings of this game. I was originally only gonna say have like a bad ending, and I'll talk about kind of what I mean by that in a second. But we can talk about beginning too, because, well, factually, when you have a game, okay, and you're going into the game, the beginning does, for the most part, need to catch you. It's much like anything, much like even like a YouTube video, right? You got to get like the human brain invested, and if the game starts slow or it starts bad, a lot of people drop off. And then if it gets good, you sometimes hear games that get good after like 10, 15 hours. Well, I mean, who's playing the game 10, 15 hours to get to that point if the first 10 to 15 hours are bad, right? So that's something they have to keep in mind. And then the ending, there's a couple ways of thinking about this. The first way I thought about it was having like a very just stamped in, like, okay, we're going to kind of phone in the ending because we want to make a sequel, okay? One of those kind of things. I wouldn't want that. With that being said, I do want the game to set up a sequel, and in fact, we will talk about that in future videos. I 100% want to see more games than just Hogwarts Legacy from these guys in the wizarding world, but I don't want it to be so like obvious that it kind of takes away from what you're doing. We've learned, I think, hopefully we have a good amount of information from games and movies that, when you try to focus too much on what's coming next instead of focusing on the thing that you're doing right now, it tends to lead to failure. Hopefully they're doing, not that, where they're saying, okay, we're making this game, we're only focusing one thing at a time, and we want to put the best product out there in this game. We're not focusing on setting it up for a bigger and better world in the second game, which would be fine, but we want to focus on this game. So that's another mistake I think they cannot make. So guys, again, let me know in the comments below, what do you think about my list? What are your own things that you think the game cannot do? Keep those suggestions coming. Every time I make one of these videos, I tend to talk myself into a couple other video ideas. Like I gave myself like 2-3 video ideas just in this video. So obviously we'll be keeping the train rolling. I know people are kind of getting antsy for more information. We will be talking about stuff like that as well. And obviously if anything big or anything at all actually comes out on this game, we will of course cover it. Okay? Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure you're subscribed, bell icon turned on. Make sure you guys subscribe to my second channel, the rest of my social media stuff all in the description below, and I will see you guys on the next video.